Cool. At least you got
When
good
is this book
connection.
coming out?
A few weeks probably. I'm just doing the rewriting, the editing phase and all of that, which takes forever. But
Well,
um,
I'm sure.
yeah. So I'll introduce you and everything. How do you say your last name?
Bodecker.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. So I will
It's
start it.
it's not an Amish name.
Oh, it's not? Sounds like it
No,
is. Oh, oh,
it's
I thought.
German, but it's not Amish.
Oh, okay. Well, let me introduce you, and then we'll, because I'm, I want to actually tell them all this stuff. So, this is Ashley Emma, author of Undercover Amish and Amish Under Fire. And today, here I have Brian Bodecker, who has agreed to talk to me. Thank you so much. And you were just saying your last name, it's not Amish, it's German?
It's German. I was adopted by a German family.
Oh, wow. Okay. But you grew up Amish, right?
I lived with the Amish when I was 16 years old. I joined them. I was not born Amish. I was born in California and got adopted by a family out in California. And
Oh,
at 15 years old, they told me I needed to do my own life, and I ended up joining the Amish.
wow. That is so interesting. And I've only heard
So
of
my,
that like happening a few times. It's really rare, right?
it is very rare, actually. The rare thing is that I stayed for 7 years. Some people will try it for a couple months, then they'll leave.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed. I stayed for 7 years, which was not that common.
Wow.
A lot of people claimed I joined for the girls. I
Really?
was joining for a family, and it
Yeah.
kind of got weird sometimes.
Oh, okay. Um, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But I did end up learning the language. I learned how to be like them.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually a pretty good little Amish boy.
Really? and
I was
and you joined at
in look.
16. Wow. And that's like it seems like the age where a lot of people who are Amish think about leaving, and instead you joined. So that's really
I
interesting.
always thought that was ironic.
Yeah,
The
that
funny
is.
thing is, the church I joined did not allow them to leave at 16. Some
Oh,
Amish churches do. Not all Amish churches do.
okay. You mean like on the room spring? The room spring. Is that what you mean for
Room
that?
Spring
The break.
Room Spring is not correct.
It's not. The place where I went to do my research, they didn't do that there at all. And I've heard a lot of
Exactly.
places do. So a lot of places don't do it.
Actually, most places don't. There's only a few groups, mostly in Ohio, that allow Rumspringa. But the thing is, it's not called Rumspringa. Rumspringa is a myth.
Oh, is it? Okay. So it's
On my YouTube channel I was telling you about earlier,
uh-huh.
I have an actual episode about Rumspringa.
Oh, okay. And what's your YouTube channel called?
Let's Talk Amish.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
definitely
it's
want to
like Let's
subscribe.
Talk Amish by Brian, right here. With
Mm.
Brian. My wife set it up for me.
Okay.
I'm not on near enough.
Oh, okay. You do
But
what do you put on there? Like what types of videos do you
well, I have some explanations of who I was,
have?
and then I was going to go into exposing some of the myths about the Amish, and
Okay.
also explain my life with the Amish. But I got lazy, and I got a new job, and I was just,
Yeah.
now that I'm always driving, I want to do a couple videos while I'm on the road when the
Right.
thoughts come to me and just tell people what the Amish are, but
Yeah.
it's
YouTube's
hard.
a lot of work, I've heard. People are like, you should start a channel. I'm like, I can't even barely record this. I can't I can't figure it out half the time. So
The worst
um
thing is the editing, but my wife's been encouraging me to do live videos on my channel. There's a lot less
mm.
editing. It's a lot easier. It'd be like what we're doing now.
Oh, okay. That's true. Like you could do it while you're driving and as you think of things. Yeah, that's true. You could do that. Kind of like a Facebook Live, I think. I don't know.
Pretty much, except for the
Yeah.
upload is a lot longer than the Facebook.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
My
And
wife says no. I know
no.
nothing about it.
Oh, I don't. All the tech stuff confuses me. um.
My wife's a YouTuber. She loves YouTube. I know
Oh,
nothing
wow.
about it.
Yeah, and it's such a great like free resource. Anything you want to know, you can just look it up. And I haven't really looked up Amish channels, but that's. I mean, how many people? It's kind of a rare thing for someone to be Amish and then leave and then like start a channel. There's probably not that many. So you have like a pretty good niche there that you found. So.
There is one guy on there. It's called Amish Paradise. His name's
Um,
no, what is it? What's his name? He's the one that gave money to my brother.
that
He
sounds
was born
familiar.
Amish,
Okay.
really strict fortune trooper Amish.
Mhm.
They're one of the
Mhm.
strictest groups. Theirs and my group would have been the strictest groups. Now, I want to verify something. When
Okay.
I say Amish, I mean horse and buggy.
Oh yes, I think that's what most people are on here.
See,
That's what they
I
know.
technically wasn't Amish.
Oh, okay.
I drove horse and buggy. I was stricter than the Amish. But
Okay.
our church didn't grow beards.
Oh, really? That's different. I've never heard of that. I mean, like the married. You mean even the married men didn't have beards?
No.
Oh, wow.
I tried to grow a beard and they called me a billy goat.
My goodness, I've never heard of. I just like that seems like it's such a common thing, and I'm trying. Like one of the reasons why I'm doing these interviews is I want to show my readers how different all the different places are and how they have different rules. Because sometimes I get reviews in my book saying, "Well, this isn't accurate because they can't have bicycles or they can't have indoor bathrooms," but the places where I
And
went, they did. So
I get so many people that tell me I'm lying for the same thing. And
yeah.
it's funny. Our church was allowed to have bicycles. We
Okay.
weren't we weren't allowed to have tractors. We weren't allowed to have any motorized equipment on the farm, like lawn mowers. They did start allowing chainsaws and weed eaters.
Okay.
I was
Chainsaws.
really fought over.
And those aren't technically electric, right? It's run by like gasoline.
They're a gas
So,
motor, yes. But we
okay.
weren't even allowed to use regular gas motors. We had
Wow.
one diesel motor that took them for an old diesel motor, but you had to have it chained to the ground so it couldn't move, no wheels, to run our threshing rig to thresh our wheat and to
Oh,
cut our. But
I
that's
see.
all we were allowed to use.
Wow. And then so yeah, you were saying you weren't actually Amish. Like what was it? What was the group called?
Well, that's the funny
Or
thing.
is it?
I was Mennonite.
Oh, okay. So you were Mennonite, which is some like my husband's grandmother's Mennonite, but I didn't know for actually a while because like I always thought Mennonites always wore head coverings, but they don't always. There's different groups of Mennonites, just like Amish. So,
Well, see,
um,
you think Mennonites and Amish are almost a lot of people get argue with me about this, and I laugh at it because Mennonites and Amish are very, very similar. You have some Amish that drive cars and have electricity.
right, and I think a lot of people don't know that, or they think, oh, they're not actually Amish. It's New Order
Yeah,
Amish, right?
yeah. Well, it depends on where you're at. New Order Amish in Ohio just have electricity but don't drive cars. New Order Amish in Pennsylvania have electricity and drive cars. It's
Wow.
it is very confusing all over the United States. And I've traveled to a lot of these communities to
Mm-hmm.
get to know them
Okay.
after I left because I became an Amish taxi driver. I drove
Oh,
in through several communities, so I asked questions. Oh, I
right.
love to talk to people, ask questions,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
learned a lot more than what I thought I did.
Yeah, my husband's grandfather used to drive for the Amish because they live right in Lancaster County, and they actually, well, he actually passed away, but they still live kind of near there. And he drove all his neighbors were Amish, and that's actually not how I got into the Amish books. I didn't meet my husband until after I started writing Amish books, which is weird. He has like relatives who live right in Lancaster County. A lot of people think that's why, but it's not. So that's really interesting. And
Yeah, I
so
lived in Lancaster County.
is that where you moved to when you were 16? You lived there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. And that's what everyone thinks is actually I've talked to a lot of people, not my readers, people who don't know anything about the Amish. They think that Amish only live there in Lancaster County. And I try to always tell them they live all over the country, even Canada.
there's
So they
there's
always assume that.
48 states that no, 46 states it used to be that there was Amish in, but they were small groups in each one of those. I
Yeah.
heard now it's only like 40, but I'm not sure which
Hmm.
is accurate anymore.
I
See,
would think it'd
there
be
was a
more.
group that moved to Alaska, but it ended up not working. And there
Ooh.
was a group that moved out to California, and once again, it did not work.
Hmm.
California, because the buggies weren't good on the big roads.
Oh, yep, yep. And do they send people to start new communities? I've heard possibly, maybe, or no?
Well, you know how people when they moved west
Mm-hmm.
to find new land and everything, it's kind of what the Amish are doing.
Okay, yeah.
In Lancaster, it's overpopulated with Amish. Let's say, for example, I want to buy a farm there. A 40-acre farm costs close to $3 million right now.
Wow. That's
And nobody can afford that. It's the
no.
developers coming in.
Right, yep.
They're taking away the land and building houses.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are moving out. Groups moved to Wisconsin. My group ended up leaving Lancaster, the whole group after I left, and moved to Kentucky.
Oh, wow. Okay. Are they still there in Kentucky?
Yeah, they're still in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
They're right above Scottsville, Kentucky.
Okay. Wow.
Scottsville or Scottsdale, I never get straight.
Right. um, and so when you left, did you were you ever like baptized into the church or anything
Yes,
like?
I got baptized at 17 years old.
Okay.
I became a member at 17.
Okay. And
See,
then oh, sorry. Go ahead.
what was weird, when I started hanging out with them, it was all because of ice skating. I
Oh,
used to
really?
ice skate with the youth group of this church.
Okay.
And see, this church, our church was called 35ers. By outsiders, it was a joke. When they first left the Old Order Mennonites, they left the main group, which was called Joe Wangers, because the leader was John Dan Wanger. So everybody called him Joe Wangers.
Okay.
Our group left around World War II, 1940s, and they started what was called the Old Order Reidenbach Mennonites.
Mm-hmm.
And the Joe Wangers used to tease them, you guys ain't going to go anywhere. You only have 35 families. You only have members.
What was that?
And
Sorry,
the name
cut out.
stuck.
Okay.
The name stuck 35ers. They said, you guys won't go anywhere. You only have 35 families. And as a mockery, they called them 35ers.
Because no one could get married and, right, because you're all related. Is that why?
We had 35 families.
Yeah.
How could we grow? But the 35ers are a very prominent Mennonite group in Lancaster County. And there's a group in Montour County, Pennsylvania. But most people don't know about them. They just call them Old Order Mennonite.
Oh.
Our church would have been the ones, we would have had steel wheels on our Mennonite buggies, whereas the Joe Wangers had rubber. And that would be one way you could usually tell a 35er, unless you had an old school Joe Wanger who didn't like the new style.
Okay. Were you allowed to have Yeah. Were you allowed to have the little triangles in the back of your buggies?
That's actually required by law, no matter who you are.
I thought it was the law, and I was talking to someone last time, and he said when he first grew up, Schwarzentruber, and he said those were not allowed, and they didn't even allow windows, like no glass in the windows, and the bugs and rain would get in, and I'm like, isn't it a law to have the reflective thing on the back because it's black, and at night you can't even see it?
How old was
he? He's like my age, and that was when he was first growing up. So probably like 20 years ago or so. Maybe have they changed it since then? I saw it on a movie.
Well, no, mine's 10 years ago. I left in 2009.
Oh, okay. And they did allow it then?
Yes. Well, see, the thing is, it was required for all slow-moving vehicles. Now, there are certain groups in certain areas that tried to fight it, but it was deemed a necessity to have it.
Yeah, it should be, I think. And they said it was too flashy and decorative.
They were able to not have the electrical lights. That they did get away with.
Okay.
So, like a Schwarzentruber or a Piker, which is a type of Mennonite that's like Schwarzentruber, they were allowed to have a lantern with a red shade over the back and a white lens up front, and they put a lantern in there, and that would be their lights on their buggies. But they're so dim now, a lot of people are considering making them illegal and actually forcing everybody to use a battery. Our group, we did have batteries, we did have headlights, and we did have orange signals, but that was because we didn't want to get hit.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Heck, I've been hit 4 times.
In a buggy?
Yes.
4 times?
Well, no.
Wow.
Twice in a buggy. Let me see. 3 times in a buggy and once on a bike.
Wow, is it just because people don't see? Well, people go so fast, too, like on those open roads. And
2 weeks after I started hanging out with the youth groups in the church, me and a guy I was kind of friends with, at the time, he actually became my best buddy later on. We were driving down the road. He was showing me how to drive the horse and everything. And we came up the hill, and we were just almost at the top, and this little pickup truck swerved around beside us. And, of course, we were at the top of the hill. We could see over. A semi was coming full speed the other way. Pickup truck tried to pass us at the crest of a hill.
Oh, it just cut out. Sorry, it just cut out. What did you say? The last thing.
I was saying it's dangerous and illegal
Mm-hmm.
to pass the hill.
Oh,
You can't
yeah.
see the. So the little pickup decided that he wasn't gonna let the semi smash him, so he hit our buggy.
Oh, gosh.
Now it was a brand new buggy and it wasn't fully finished, so the box was not attached to the wheels fully.
Okay.
So when the truck hit, it smashed the wheels out. Our box with both of us, it went flying across the field, and it killed the horse.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. And you both survived?
We both had some scratches and bumps, and that was it. We were very lucky.
So you
But
went flying and the horse stayed. Is that what you mean? The horse didn't move.
yeah,
It
the
got
horse
hit.
was still there.
Oh.
But the guy took off and left.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Hit and run.
Yeah.
We don't know who it was. It was pretty bad. And I feel in all the accidents I've been in, I've been extremely lucky
Mm-hmm.
because all of them should have killed us. One of my friends got in a similar accident, and he busted his leg, his baby got killed, and his wife broke her shoulder.
Oh my gosh, that is terrible.
Almost identical situation. So it's really serious for me. When I see people drive like that, I'm like, why?
But you had the signal on the back, and did you have your lights and all?
We had everything on. People were just careless.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even where I live out in the country, and the speed limit is 35, I think. And people just speed, like they go like 50, 60. It's just a one long road. And my kids play outside. Luckily, we have a really long driveway, and they don't go down. But, yeah, that would not be safe if we had buggies on this road. It's just people speed like crazy. It's ridiculous. But and then what the other two times? Oh, one was on a bike. You said you were on a bike and you got hit.
I was actually kind of disobeying the rules.
Oh.
Our church didn't allow us to eat at restaurants.
Really?
This was our church was the strictest I've ever seen.
Okay. Oh.
Most churches allow air compression and propane systems. We weren't allowed to use any gas besides our gas tank gas and gas for our lanterns, like what we call cola, which is kerosene or naphtha gas. Nothing in a bottle. We weren't allowed to use bottled gas. So we were really, really strict. And one of our rules was we weren't allowed to enjoy any worldly pleasures. That included going out to eat.
That's true. Yeah. And oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was a little bit rebellious at the time because I was a little bit tired of some of the rules and everything. And this was right before I left, when I was fed up with everything. And I had been sitting at the laundromat some nights when I was bored, and the laundromat had a TV in it. And I'd sit here and watch all these commercials. There was a commercial at McDonald's about a chicken sandwich, and boy, did it look delicious. But I wasn't allowed to have it. So one day, a group of us boys went up to tear down a chicken barn. On the way, we all went the other direction. I quick snuck into McDonald's, went through the drive-thru with my bicycle, and got myself a chicken sandwich.
Okay.
I put it on the back of my bike. McDonald's and onto the road, going down my lane and my bike lane and everything, obeying the rules. All my lights were on. And the funny thing is that Joe Wanger was behind me coming up the road, and he seen me hurrying really fast out of there. And he thought, well, where's the fire? He decided to follow me.
Okay. And that's the leader of your group, right?
What's that?
That's the leader of your group.
No. Joe Wangers are allowed to use restaurants. Joe Wangers are the more liberal of the horses.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was the leader of your group. Okay, yes. Okay.
Really embarrassing. I did get kicked out because of this wreck. Later on, it had a little bit of falling into me getting kicked out. See, by law, you have to have a photo ID.
Right.
Or in some, they allow a photoless ID as long as you can prove you're Amish. But one of my friends had been locked up in jail, and I asked the minister and the bishop, could I get a photo ID so I can visit him in jail? And they said, well, yes, but don't tell anybody else you have it.
Right.
And the church didn't know. The church didn't know it at all.
Oh, okay.
So I was kind of being a little bit behind the scenes, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't teach too many bad things to the youth there. I only taught them how to wire a DVD player to their fence charger.
To the fence? Like electric fence? What do you mean? Like what kind of...
They have a little battery with a solar panel, and it runs an electric fence. And I found out how to take and wire a DVD player from that battery that was being solar charged into my DVD player that I found on a trash pile.
Was like a screen? Like, could you watch
Yeah.
it? Oh, like a portable DVD player. Oh.
Like a portable DVD player. We found it on a trash pile, and we decided to fool around with it. We found a bag of DVDs somebody had thrown alongside the road.
Perfect.
Like, I don't know.
Movie, yeah.
Me growing up, we weren't allowed to watch TV. We didn't have TV.
Oh, you didn't even... Okay, that makes sense.
Mom and Dad did allow it, but we did allow a computer, and we watched Little House on the Prairie, and that was it.
Oh, okay.
So that was the extent of my knowledge. So that's why it was a shock to us was we didn't have interaction with the girls. We'd talk with them. We'd spend time with them as friends. But those movies showed displays of affection for a woman that were bewildering to us.
Oh, right. It would be confusing. Yeah, shocking. Oh, what did you say? Sorry about my signal.
I said, you know how modern TV is now.
Oh, it's so much worse now, and that was, what, a while ago, and years ago,
Yeah.
and it's so much worse now. So you never did Room Springer, so that was kind of like, I mean...
Well, once again,
right. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
back to Rumspringa, that is actually a myth. Rumspringa is not the right word.
What is it called?
Rumspringa, when you turn 16, your parents say you're allowed to go with the youth group.
Oh, okay.
Rumspringa, room means around in circles, or around.
Mm-hmm.
Springa means bouncing or springing around.
Oh.
That means you're allowed to run around with the youth group.
Mm. Okay.
And Rumspringa is an actual thing. You're allowed to run around with the youth group. You're allowed to consider start dating at that time. And what happens is the parents release you from their control.
Oh.
They're no longer your parents as much as they're trying to help you to be an adult. So at 16, they tell you, look, your life is your choice. We want you to make the right choice, but we're going to accept whatever you do. Now, some churches took that above and beyond and allowed the youth to experiment with the world, not because they wanted them to, not because they allowed it, but because they weren't allowed to punish them.
Right. Okay.
And that was Wildspringer, or running wild.
Mm-hmm.
That was a totally different word. Wildspringer, or running wild. You were allowed to run wild, get a car, but most groups banned that back about 30, 40 years ago.
Okay.
Too many people were getting caught up in the cell phone news, the new computers and everything. It was getting worse and worse.
Oh yeah, which is understandable. I mean, it's like if you're not used to these things, it seems so interesting and new, and then like you just get sucked into it. It's just probably not a good idea. Yeah.
So most churches totally disallowed the idea of even doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are churches that do allow it yet.
Okay.
Specifically, Dan Church out in Ohio, they allow it. And I've been to some of their parties. I drove some Amish kids to some of their parties.
Okay.
And they'd have drugs.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. That's what the person I was talking to last time said. Similar. I mean, he only said he knew a few people that did it, but the people who did it got really caught up in drugs, and just it was a bad situation. So, wow. So that's not as common as we thought. That's, I guess, a good thing. We don't
It
want
is.
that to happen.
But most have disallowed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I saw some of those parties... Hold on a second. What'd you say? Oh. I'm sorry. I have ADD, and I bounce from subject to subject.
Oh, I didn't even notice. I guess I did. I mean, I do. I used to have it. What?
Reminding me that I'm not finishing my stories.
Oh, about the bike?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Good thing she's keeping us on track. His wife is.
I know, right?
over
I'm
there on the
terrible.
side.
I will bounce around and around. It's
Oh,
hard
yeah.
for me to track.
Me too. I completely forgot about that. People are gonna be like, well, "What happened?"
ADD is not a thing seen much amongst the Amish.
Really?
They deal more with diseases like mongoloid, I think it's called,
Okay.
and then maple syrup syndrome.
What is that?
It's called MSUD,
Oh.
maple syrup disorder.
What does that mean? Is that?
I have no idea.
It sounds
I
like
don't-
it's made up. Is it? It's real?
It's real, yes. It is very real. You could look it up.
Oh wow! Is it from maple syrup?
No, it's from interbreeding.
Oh, okay, because they're smaller groups. I have heard of that. I didn't know if it was true. I
Let's just
also
say,
heard. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
have you ever heard the word double cousin?
No. Is that because they're? I mean, they're not all related, but the groups are smaller. And
Well, in our church, everybody was related.
oh, everybody because of the 35 families. Is that why?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
Oh.
And was thought they would have accepted me more because of that, but they didn't.
Oh. Really? But you weren't related to them, right, when you joined, and you didn't go with your
No.
family, right? You went by yourself.
Oh, my family wasn't Amish.
Oh, okay, so you joined all on your own, and you were the.
On my own.
Okay, okay. So, wow, so everyone was like distantly related, or some were close.
No. Double cousin means like, let's say, for example, your mom
Mm-hmm.
and your husband's dad are brother and sister, and your husband's wife and your
That's
husband
confusing.
and your dad are brother and sister. You would be double cousin.
Okay, I think I kind of see it. It's like cousins on both sides.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And they married.
Wow. And is that legal? Is it like a religious exception?
Well, see, the thing is, we don't use marriage licenses. Legally, we're not
Oh,
married.
no way. Really?
Yeah, we don't use marriage licenses. They do allow birth certificates now, but they used to not. A lot of them don't even have birth certificates or social security cards.
I was wondering
I
about that. Okay. Oh wow.
I helped a friend of mine leave. He had a birth certificate from the midwife, but he
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a social security card. So I took him in to get a social security number, and they accidentally gave him his dad's social security number.
Oh.
So they went to open a bank account. They said, we already have this social security number in here. This isn't right. So we had to go get him a brand new social security number and everything.
Oh my goodness.
He Andrew Martin Jr. His dad's name was Andrew Martin Sr. And so for some reason, the Social Security Administration office, they made a mistake and gave him his dad's information.
So his dad had a social security number. Is it like the newer generation doesn't really, and they just kind of stopped, or?
No, it's kind of funny. His dad was a little bit more, how would you call it? He was a little bit more wild
Oh, okay.
when he was young.
Yeah.
And he actually had gotten an ID. At that time, I mean, his dad was pretty old. His dad would have done some of the wilder things,
Mm-hmm.
so he would have had some of that stuff.
Oh wow. Because I was wondering that if, I mean, I bet some groups do have the birth certificates and the social security cards, right? I mean, I think
Now,
where I went they did, but some.
now it's required by law everywhere.
Oh, so now they all do. Okay. Okay. Okay.
But you don't have to have a marriage certificate.
Oh, so you're not. I mean, in the Amish sense, you are, right? I mean, they commit for life to be married,
Yeah,
but legally you're not. That's really wow. But
you're not. You wouldn't separate. You wouldn't be legally divorced either.
wow,
There,
that's
and believe it or not, some Amish do allow divorce.
okay.
It's
I've
not
always heard that.
supported.
Mm-hmm.
It's not accepted.
Mm-hmm.
But in my church, they like to argue a lot. I hate to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I say this with all respect, but they love to fight amongst each other.
Oh,
And
mm-hmm.
when they left the Joangers, they brought that attitude with them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say it this way. There's about 1,000 groups of 35ers. It's
Wow.
a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
They always kept on squabbling and arguing, and they'd split and make another group of 35ers.
Uh-huh.
There's groups so small as just one family, his husband and wife, and even the kids leave. But they're at church.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like where I live. There's a few very small. I wouldn't even say it's a group. I've heard a few towns over from me. There's one or two families that started a little store. I haven't seen them, but 2 hours away from me, there's a pretty big community. It's like, well, 5 years ago it was about 75 people. I bet it's over 100, 120 now because they have so many kids. But that is so interesting, and I wonder if they use marriage license. That didn't even cross my mind. I just figured they had to, and I really don't know if they do or not. I don't know. I have to ask them.
One of the reasons I left was because of this situation.
Okay.
This woman, her mom was part of the one side, and the husband, his dad was the minister on the opposing side. And her mom was the bishop's sister-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
So she followed her mom's side of the argument, and her husband followed his dad's side of the argument, and the church demanded that they don't live together.
Okay.
She moved back in with her mom, and they moved to Kentucky.
Hmm.
He never saw she was pregnant when she left. He never got to see his newborn kid.
Oh, wow. And they never
Years
technically got
later,
divorced.
he got to see the kid.
Mm-hmm.
But she took all the kids away from him. He's all alone, and he's so sad.
Oh, wow.
I think they're both sad, but they had to follow their stubborn adults.
Oh, I've never really heard of that type of a situation.
It's very uncommon in most churches,
Okay.
but our church was one of them that does it.
Okay.
And see, when I joined the church, I was trying to find a church that was very strong in family values.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that, it destroyed my faith.
Oh, yeah. And I know, like... What? Sorry, what?
I said that disappointed me when I saw that.
That is. And do you know, was the fight about something pretty serious, or what? Or do you even know what it was about? No.
The fight was about a sentence was said, and one group said is, and the other group said was.
Oh my goodness.
It was about the old law, the Ten Commandments.
Okay.
One group said that the Ten Commandments were for us to keep, or it was for us. And the other group said it is for us to think about keeping, but we don't have to follow the old law. They were trying to explain the law was good back then, and now they still follow it, but we're not required to because we're under the new covenant.
Okay.
And they argued about that was and is. They meant the same thing. They both agreed together, but they couldn't get over the wording. And since they were so stubborn, they split. Now, between me and you personally, I'm afraid the split had nothing to do with that.
Oh, really? Okay.
See, the bishop's wife and the minister's wife couldn't stand each other.
Okay. Oh,
They started the arguing. Those two women started the arguing. And I feel seriously it's because of their arguing that the church split.
Wow. That is really sad that that happened.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
The bishop's wife didn't like how loose the minister's wife's girls were.
Which is probably, I mean,
Usually,
to our standards, it probably isn't.
Usually in the Amish church, the boy asked the girl out to date.
Mm-hmm.
In her family, she'd encourage the girls to pursue the boys they wanted.
To ask them out and... Right.
So much so that the girl would hint at the boy that she wants to date him.
Oh. Okay.
And the bishop's wife felt that was a little bit too loose.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Which I don't see the problem in that. I mean, sometimes boys are too shy, you know? What did you say?
My wife asked me out.
Yeah. I can't remember if... I think my husband asked me out, but I wasn't even interested in him back then. But then we got married, so... and I wanted to ask, was your wife Amish too? Like, how did you meet her? Was that after you left? Okay.
No, my wife, actually, we met online.
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people.
It was totally an accident. Me and an ex-Amish buddy, when we left the church, he was a little bit older than me. He's like my best friend now.
Mm-hmm.
And when we left the church, he was like, hey, I'm 33 years old. I don't think I'll ever get a chance for a girlfriend. And I jokingly said, why don't you start online dating?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard about it, you know. And
Yeah.
so we were laughing about it, and he says, I'll tell you what, if you set up an account, I'll set up an account.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought, this will be fun. I just broken up with a girl. I wasn't interested in getting into a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, this will be fun. I want to see him get I want to see how this is going to work, you know, the adventuresome part of me.
Yeah.
So I set him up 2 accounts, and I set myself up 2 accounts.
Two accounts? Or was it 2?
One on one site and one on another.
Okay. Oh.
And so that's kind of how I ended up meeting my wife.
Oh, that's a funny story. All because
I got upset at her for saying yay for dicks.
What?
I have Lyme disease really bad.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the plain people do because of working with the ground and everything. A lot of them do have Lyme disease.
Oh, really? Mm. And that's hard to catch, I've heard. I know a few people who have.
It's actually easy.
Oh, okay.
It's easy.
And they don't.
See, it comes from infected deer who have a virus in them, and mosquitoes and ticks get the virus from them.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but
sorry.
I had, and my wife, was saying yay for ticks at that time, and I jumped all over her. How dare you say yay for ticks? They're terrible.
Oh, yeah, they are
She's
terrible.
not my
Oh, that's funny. And by hard to catch, I meant like hard to realize you. Like sometimes you don't realize you have. Sorry, I didn't mean like hard to pick it up. Yeah, because I know like 2 or 3 people who have it. It's not good.
We figured that I probably started it with when I was 5 years old.
And then you just didn't realize you had it. It's kind of
It's
like, oh wow, that's a really long time. And so, isn't it like the earlier on you treated it, the better, of course? But
yeah, I'm incurable now. Mine's so embedded into my body, I'll never lose it.
Oh wow, it's like back pain and neck pain and or am I
Tired, back pain. Every day when it starts getting ready to rain, I just have no energy.
Oh.
It affects your mental stability.
Yeah. And
I've learned a lot about it. I've learned how to deal with it. Some days I hate it.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Oh.
But that's not much about the Amish, is it?
Well, it's really related. I didn't realize that. I mean, makes sense. You know, if they're outside all the time and they're doing farming, that they would get it. Like around here, I'm in Maine, and I already know 2 people who have it. One third person thought they had it. I don't think they did. But I've heard that possums.
It started in Connecticut.
What is it? You're from Connecticut.
It started in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. I've heard possums eat ticks, and we have a possum near my house, and we're gonna try to catch it because it like rips into our garbage all the time. And now we're like, okay, let's feed it and let's keep it happy and healthy so it eats all of our ticks. And like,
don't try to catch it.
No, we're not going to. No.
What I would do is I would probably just find a better way to secure your garbage. Because possums are very good to have around.
They are. They get to. It was crazy. I put it in boxes, and it would open the box. So I had to get these boxes with lids on each side. A lid with like a snap, so it can't get in. But sometimes I do feed it leftovers because I don't want it to leave. Because my kids play outside all the time, and they're pretty freaky to look at. But if it's gonna eat more ticks, then that's good. I don't want my kids to get ticks.
Wait a second. You're saying it's opening lids on boxes?
The cardboard boxes.
Okay, I was gonna say that sounds more like a coon. Coons do that, not possums as much.
It could have. I can't. I mean, it's at night, so I can't see. There is a cat who comes over from the neighbors sometimes and eats like our leftover bread or something. But I don't know what it is. But yeah, we live way out in Maine and kind of like in the country. Who knows? My mother-in-law's like, why would you feed a possum? And I'm like, I know, they're kind of scary to look at, but it's going to eat more ticks. I heard they eat thousands of ticks a day, like 2,000 or 3,000 a day. So that's pretty good. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm going to open my door here to my office so I can hear if she knocks. I have to go around 1:45. I just got my camera got foggy. Maybe it's your camera that got foggy, actually. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Mine, she's pretty clear.
Yeah, yours is good now. What was one more thing I was going to ask you? I could look on
my wife says I should finish the bike story.
Oh, right, the bike, yes. So what happened with the bike crash?
So what ended up happening is I went speeding down the road. Mm-hmm. A car came into my lane going 45 miles an hour. No. He was going 65 miles an hour. Okay. He's going way over the speed limit, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. The cops said we had an 80-mile collision. He hit me head on in my lane.
Oh, wow. 80 mile. Now, what does that mean, 80-mile collision?
It means head on. I was going 25.
Okay.
When I looked up my speedometer, it said 25. We hit head on. He was in my lane, in the bike lane. He doesn't know why. I think he fell asleep. Mm. And basically, I hit the windshield, tore out the windshield with my head. Mm. And they said I was doing cartwheels in the air 20 feet up.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Oh, my God.
And it destroyed my back, which is one of the reasons I left. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do the hard work anymore.
Yeah.
And because of that, I ended up getting kicked out of the church because I couldn't harness a horse. And I couldn't bike for a while there, and there was this auction with a really old gun that I really wanted to go to see if I could buy it. The neighbor was going, and I asked him if I'd go with him. I'd give him $5. Mm-hmm. Now, our church was allowed to hire drivers, strictly for emergency or necessity.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That means if you needed something that was too far away, you could hire a driver to go get it. Or if you need to go to the hospital for an emergency, you could ride an ambulance or something, you know. Mm-hmm. But they told me it was a pleasure trip. See, since I wasn't born in the church, I worked hired hand for everybody. I ended up renting my own acreage, but they considered that I didn't really have a farm, so why would I need to go to an auction? I went there for pleasure, and therefore I hired a driver for pleasure, and they asked me to say sorry, and I refused. And I had words and cussed them out. That didn't help. I basically told them going to hell.
Well, the last thing just kind of... They told you were going to hell? Because
They told me I was going to hell, and I said when I get there, I'll hold the door open to welcome you to join me.
Ooh, because you hired someone to drive you for
That
something
I was going to hell.
For what? Sometimes when I say something, it cuts out. Sorry. What was
Sorry.
it? That's okay. It's my fault. Because you went to the auction?
Because I went to the auction with a driver,
Okay.
I had disobeyed the rules, and since I didn't say sorry about disobeying the rules, which I didn't feel I did wrong,
Yeah.
I felt I had to hire a driver.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, we were really backwards.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to do things that were really weird.
Yeah. And that sounds a lot more strict than I think most Amish communities, like in the books that my readers read about, that sounds a lot more strict than what we read about, which is fictional.
The only group that would have come close to us would be Schwarzentrooper. But they allow motorized engines, and they also allow air compression and gas systems.
Okay.
The one difference between us and the Schwarzentroopers is we were allowed to have print dresses as long as they were muffled print.
Okay.
Like, you weren't allowed to have flowers, but you could have dots.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Flashy. And we were allowed to use bicycles, whereas the Schwarzentroopers weren't. But in all other aspects, we were stricter than the Amish people.
Wow. So it's like...
And people say, that's not possible, you're Mennonite.
Yeah, I've never heard of, Mennonite being more strict than an Amish group, but there is. That's really interesting. They're so different. And then I wanted to ask, when you left, were you shunned because you were baptized, or...
Oh, very much so.
You don't talk to them at all anymore?
I used to have great fun with that.
Really?
Because I still hated them for a while because of the way they treated me.
Yeah.
So I joined the auctions, and the people that I knew had been instrumental in getting me kicked out, I'd walk up to them and try to talk to them, just to see them get really awkward because they weren't allowed to talk to me.
Yeah, I just don't... That's one thing. I love the Amish. I really highly respect them. But the shunning, I don't understand that. I don't understand why you wouldn't talk to somebody for that. But
when I speak about the Amish, I loved my time with them. People were awesome people. I will speak nothing bad about them, but I couldn't agree with their religion.
Yeah, yeah.
A cult.
What you're describing kind of does sound like that, and I know it's kind of rare. I've never really heard of an Amish group being like that, so I don't want people to think like, oh, they're all like that. I don't think most Amish groups are like that at all.
Most aren't.
No.
That's what when I lived in Ohio, I got to meet so many Amish that I would have gone to their church. They were awesome people. I'll tell you what. I mean, they were very accepting, and I drove them around, so they allowed drivers. Some of them I thought drove around a little bit too much and had way too many fancy... I mean, when I started seeing iPhone 7s coming out, I was like, that seems to go against the church too much.
What was the last thing?
Some of the Amish people would pull out their iPhone 7 to check the weather.
Really? I've never heard of that. Wow, someone having... I mean, I know some people disobey the rules sometimes, and they sneak a cell phone, but...
No,
just
one of these guys was a bishop in his church.
Wow. That is different. That must be like a New Order Amish, or...
No, they were not New Order.
Wow.
They were just regular Old Order.
Yeah.
But different... See, and this is what's unique. Different groups of Old Order have different standards. Let's say, for example, you live in one part of Maine, 2 cities down the road is another group in Maine. That group might allow cell phones, whereas your group is totally against it. Yet your group join together and have fellowship.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't... There's 2 groups in Maine. I've only been to one. But yeah, that actually could be true for here.
Unlike our group, where we were strictly our group, we weren't allowed to fellowship with anybody else, the Amish aren't all like that.
That's different.
Some groups will intermarry amongst each other because they all follow the same direction. That being said, a Dan Amish and a Schwarzentrooper Amish will never marry. A Schwarzentrooper Amish and an Old Order Amish will never marry. Those 3 groups, specific in Ohio, will not intermingle amongst themselves besides do regular business.
Oh, wow.
group would not go to a Schwarzentrooper party, and a Schwarzentrooper would not go to a Dan party, and neither one of them would go to an Old Order party.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Old Order and New Order sometimes intermingle.
That is interesting. Wow. So they are so different.
Yeah.
I'm following it. No, I hope people can follow it, but it's 1:45 and I bet she'll walk in the door any minute, but I actually have a salon right here in the basement of my house, and I do hair sometimes on weekends, but I actually would love to talk to you more if you ever wanted to do like another call. If not, that's fine. And Brian is a trucker. Well, I don't know what do you call it? Because you drive a van. So what is that called?
I'm an expediter.
Expediter.
I do expedited freight, like overnight, long haul overnight deliveries.
Yeah. To stores,
pick up from airports.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, most of our stuff is for the auto industry.
Mm-hmm.
I've delivered tiles to Disney World.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Wow.
I mean, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, you get to see all over the country.
Oh, my wife said, like, if you would need a hair dryer tomorrow for your salon, we would be delivering it. But we don't do such small things very often.
Right.
It's more, we deal with businesses.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I took a load that was really unique. It was a little hardware store.
Mm-hmm.
A computer chip that one of their machines in the back. And so they called a company, and the company had me deliver that computer chip 900 miles in a day.
Wow. Did they pay extra for shipping? Jeez.
We made about $1,000 for that run.
Wow. It's because, like, if you think about Amazon, I don't know how it gets here, but it gets here in 2 days, and I get free shipping. So I don't know if it's UPS or, FedEx. It's either FedEx or
Amazon,
UPS.
what they do is they deal with different warehouses around the United States.
Okay.
Whereas we're dealing with specific warehouses that are only in certain areas.
Okay, yeah. Oh, wow.
Which means we would not deal with the Amazon because Amazon's like Walmart.
Yeah.
You have Walmart in every city. Amazon is building in several cities.
Oh,
and in so doing, you can get in 2 days.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I've taken things from New York down to Laredo, Texas in a day and a half, 2 days.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That is, I used to want to be a trucker because I just always thought, how interesting to just drive all the way. And I love driving anyway, but I don't know if I could do it. I could not do it. I am a homebody anyway, so. Well, I better go, but thank you so much for talking to me. I will be, I'll send it to you before I post it, and I won't be posting. I'll be emailing it to my readers. So, and if I make a course, hopefully I'll have more videos like this to add to it. But thank you so much.
I'll glad to do another one too, but now you know I'm a talker.
Well, that's good because sometimes I can't remember my questions here, so that's great. If I know you're busy, so you let me know when you can do. But thank you so much, and subscribe to Let's Talk Amish on YouTube, Brian's channel, because there's way more content on there that we, of course, can cover. So yeah, definitely.
Try to get more on.
Yeah, I know YouTube is really hard. You have to be making videos all the time. I couldn't do it. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. And where do you live? What state do you live in? Do you have to drive all the way back?
We're actually on our way home right now.
Oh, okay.
We live in Bedford, Pennsylvania.
Oh, you still live in Pennsylvania? Wow, that's really cool. Yeah.
We're in the western side by Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, that's far. Pennsylvania's huge, right?
I live in the van. I have a bed back here, everything I need to live here.
Oh wow.
But my wife's parents are in Bedford, so we go spend weekends with them every once in a while.
Oh, that's really nice. Oh wow. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, sure. This is great.